Hello and welcome to Uz Report World News, and my name is Bahram Gaffarov. Inflation in Uzbekistan, according to a forecast of the banking regulator, is expected to plummet to 5.3% by 2023. This number would be real if the current CPI went down as much as twice. The IMF director for the Middle East, Caucasus and Central Asia, Jihad Azur, has shared his own views on this matter, as Uz Report contacted him to get comments regarding the organization's recent report.
Well, I think we have to accept that there is a great deal of uncertainty surrounding the outlook now, because we have a certain number of factors that are not clear. And let me illustrate that. One, we saw an increase in food and commodity prices, although this may not have a big inflation, but for certain social categories, it constitutes an important portion of their basket. This is one. Second, the speed of the global recovery and the capacity of the global economy to adjust without enduring additional cost will also be important. The level of scarring and how we deal with risks of disruption also could have impact on prices. Therefore, for the time being, the projections that the central bank and the targets for 2023 are realistic, are the right targets, but one has to remain vigilant because of the broad uncertainty that
Prime Ministers of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, Abdulla Aripov and Askar Mamin, on April 10 laid a capsule at the construction site of the International Center for Trade and Economic Cooperation, Central Asia, on the Uzbek-Kazakh border. The center is to erect at the checkpoint Gist-Kuprik. Following the negotiations, the heads of the government inked an action plan for organizing the activities of ICTEC, as well as protocol on joint actions for the development of railway transport.
The total area of the ICTES is to comprise 400 hectares, with a capacity of 35,000 people and 5,000 trucks per day in both directions. The center is intended to become a major industrial, trade and logistics platform for the implementation of joint investment projects of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. The governments of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are working on bringing the level of mutual trade to $10 billion. The project that starts today will serve to achieve this goal and contribute to the further strengthening of comprehensive strategic cooperation between the two states, Askar Mamin, Kazakh PM, said. The Kazakh side also expressed interest in creating a single commodity distribution system between the two countries by opening 3 wholesale distribution centers in the Surkhandarya and Fergana regions of Uzbekistan, with a total investment of $22.5 million and transshipment capacity of 67,000 tons per year.
The Uzbek delegation headed by Foreign Minister Abdulaziz Kamilov met with the head of the political office of Taliban in Qatar. Mullah Baradar expressed his sincere gratitude to the President of Uzbekistan for his constant attention to the problems of Afghanistan. In addition, the representative of Taliban welcomed the initiatives of Uzbekistan to implement important economic projects in Afghanistan in the fields of transport and energy. He emphasized that major infrastructure projects implemented by Uzbekistan would contribute not only to the economic development of Afghanistan, but also to the creation of necessary conditions for launching a full-fledged political process in the country. Afghanistan can become a bridge of trust and cooperation between Central and South Asia in the future, he said. Global Disruptive Tech Challenge 2021 announced the 4 grand prize winners for the innovative restoration plans for the Aral Sea region. One of them is from Uzbekistan and another among the runners-up.
Some of the disruptive innovations that won the grand prize varies from flowering tree plantations that will grow a beekeeping industry, to women-centered training in natural resource management, to the restoration of salt-dried landscapes. With the support of the World Bank and its partners, the governments of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are making great strides in mitigating the environmental damage to the Aral Sea. The winners were announced during a virtual ceremony hosted by the World Bank in partnership with the Global Landscapes Forum, the Kazakh German University, and Plug and Play. A total of 159 proposals were submitted to the competition from 28 countries across 5 continents, with more than half of the proposals from Central Asian countries. A distinguished panel of 42 experts from the World Bank and partner organizations from across the globe evaluated the submissions and nominated 24 leading projects. Today's winners represent the culmination of many months of work, developing and evaluating the most innovative and cutting-edge proposals, noted Steven Schonberger, World Bank Regional Sustainable Development Director for Europe and Central Asia. By bringing the RLC issue into the focus of the world's creative minds, our goal was to crowdsource new solutions to combat land degradation in the RLC, said Lilia Brunsiuk, World Bank Regional Director for Central Asia.
Today was the day of the grand finale of our Disruptive Technology Challenge for the RLC to combat some of the most difficult issues in Central Asia related to desertification and degradations of the RLC basin. I remember when we started about a year ago with this idea of how to search for some help, to innovate in trying to solve some of these big problems. We decided to launch this Disruptive Technology Challenge to get the most creative minds in Central Asia and in the world to help us to move forward on how to address some of the issues. So it was a real pleasure to see that we received more than 159 proposals from 28 different countries. It was very hard to choose among them the winners, and we even had to create a very special category of rising star because all the proposals were absolutely fantastic and they really involved youth, women, academia, startups, all trying to get together and solve these incredibly difficult issues. For example, we have the fantastic proposal that won in the category of forestry on the honey coming from honey gardens in the RLC, and was presented by Uzbekistan. And also in the Rising Stars, we had a fantastic proposal on agroforestry presented by Uzbekistan. But what is most important is that this challenge doesn't stop here. Right now, we are going to create an e-book about all the fantastic solutions that were proposed, and we are also going to try to create a master about landscape restoration, and then hopefully we will be able to implement this technology in the World Bank Resilient Central Asia program that will try to combat and reverse land degradation in Central Asia.
One of the grand prize winners is the project named Aral Honey Gardens, proposed by the National University of Uzbekistan. It aims at fighting desertification and deforestation of RLC region through cultivation of various honey plants. Each grand prize proposal was awarded $5,000 and a mentorship for its contribution to restoring the RLC. Runners-up in the Tech Challenge each won $1,000 and were recognized in the Rising Star category. One of them was proposed by the Uzbek participant in sustainable forestry for regenerative agroforestry solutions for landscape restoration.
Samarkand Air Harbour is about to become a major tourist hub. The entire airport is soon to receive a program which is expected to systematize the most complex system of the commissioning of new terminal.
The project company Air Marakanda, together with specialists from Munich International Airport and Istanbul International Airport, are working on the implementation of a unique program for Uzbekistan, ORAD, a methodology for operational readiness, commissioning and transfer of operational activities to a new infrastructure. According to experts, this system will ensure the introduction of advanced technologies in the field of operating airports, satisfy the demand of airlines, passengers, and the population of the Republic, and also transform the international airport Samarkand into a major transport and tourist hub.
Uzbekistan has recently been admitted as a beneficiary country under the General Scheme of Preferences. Soon enough, that special system of preferences of the European Union for sustainable development and effective governance will come into force for the country. Opinions of foreign experts on this matter in our next report.
Particular importance to mutually beneficial cooperation with Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is an important partner of the EU in Central Asia and plays a leading role in this region. In recent years, the European-Uzbek relations have acquired a more diverse and comprehensive nature. In this regard, I am happy to inform that we expect the Commission's Delegated Act introducing Uzbekistan as a GSP Plus beneficiary to be published in the official journal of today.
Fitch Ratings has affirmed Uzbekistan's long-term foreign currency issue default rating at BB- with a stable outlook. The rating agency underlined that Uzbekistan's ratings balance robust external and fiscal buffers, low government debt and a record of high growth relative to BB- rated peers against high commodity dependence, high inflation and structural weaknesses in terms of low GDP per capita and weak institutional and governance levels relative to peers.
Resilience to the COVID-19 shock reflects Uzbekistan's reform progress in fiscal, monetary and foreign exchange policy improvements, reduced state intervention in key sectors of the economy and financial and technical support from multilateral institutions. Government debt increased at a fast pace even prior to the COVID-19 crisis, but in light of expected policy measures and macroeconomic performance, we project that debt will stabilize at a level well below the BB median over the medium term, Fitch said. Contrary to an estimated BB median contraction of 4.4% in 2020, the Uzbek economy expanded 1.6%, supported by manufacturing on the back of the gold mining industry, construction and agriculture. Stable remittance inflows partly supported private consumption, it added. The rating agency forecasts the growth to accelerate to 5% in 2021 and 5.5% in 2022, as fiscal policy will continue to support investment and consumption, as key trading partners also recover. The evolution of the pandemic and delays in the rollout of vaccination campaigns given global supply constraints present downside risks to the growth forecast.
A study in Israel found Pfizer BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine to be less effective on the variant found in South Africa. However, the variant's occurrence in the country is low, and the research has also not been peer-reviewed. The study, released on Saturday, compared almost 400 people who tested positive at least 2 weeks after receiving 1 or 2 doses of the vaccine against the same number who had tested positive but were unvaccinated. It also matched age and gender, among other characteristics. South Africa's variant was found to make up 1% of all cases in the study, according to Tel Aviv University and the country's largest healthcare provider, Clalit. They found that the variant was 8 times more prevalent in patients who had received 2 doses of the vaccine compared to those who were unvaccinated. According to Tel Aviv University professor Adi Stern, the data suggests that the South African variant is able to break through the vaccine's protection to some extent. The researchers cautioned that the data was not intended to deduce overall vaccine effectiveness against other variants, since it only looked at people who had already tested positive for COVID-19 instead of overall infection rates. Pfizer and BioNTech could not be immediately reached for comment outside business hours.
China's top disease control official has said the country is formally considering mixing COVID-19 vaccines as a way of further boosting vaccine efficacy. Available data shows Chinese vaccines lag behind others, including Pfizer and Moderna, in terms of efficacy, but require less stringent temperature controls during storage. Gao Fu, the director of the Chinese Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Saturday, said the current available vaccines, quote, don't have very high rates of protection, adding, quote, inoculation using vaccines of different technical lines is being considered. Gao said that taking steps to optimize the vaccine process, including changing the number of doses and the length of time between doses, was a definite solution to the efficacy issues. China has developed 4 domestic vaccines approved for public use, and an official said on Saturday that the country will likely produce 3 billion doses by the end of the year. A COVID-19 vaccine developed by China's Sinovac was found to have an efficacy rate of slightly above 50% in Brazilian clinical trials. A separate study in Turkey said it was 83.5% effective. No detailed efficacy data has been released on vaccines made by China's Sinopharm. A World Health Organization panel said in March that both vaccine makers have presented data on their COVID-19 vaccines, indicating levels of efficacy in line with those required by the WHO. China has shipped millions of its vaccines abroad, and officials and state media have fiercely defended the shots, while calling into question the safety and logistics capabilities of other vaccines.
Iran has blamed Israel for what it called an act of terrorism on its Natanz nuclear facility, according to state TV. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif vowed revenge on Monday a day after local media reported the incident at the Natanz site, allegedly caused by a problem with the electrical distribution grid. A foreign ministry spokesman added that Iran would replace any damaged equipment, but that no contamination or casualties had been reported. The Natanz facility is the centerpiece of Iran's uranium enrichment program, one of several monitored by UN nuclear watchdog inspectors. Israel has in the past accused Iran of trying to build nuclear weapons to use against it. It has not formally commented on the incident. However, multiple Israeli media outlets have quoted unnamed sources, claiming that its Mossad spy service carried out a successful sabotage operation at Natanz, potentially setting back enrichment work there by months. Iran and several world powers held what they described as constructive talks in Vienna last week, aimed at reviving the 2015 nuclear deal, which U.S. President Donald Trump abandoned 3 years ago, slapping sanctions on Tehran instead. Iran has gradually breached many restrictions imposed by the accord in response to those U.S. sanctions. The Natanz incident came shortly after Iran, which says its nuclear program is purely for peaceful purposes, began using new and advanced enrichment centrifuges at the facility. A senior U.S. administration official said Washington had no involvement.
Facebook has expanded into new territory, this time converting part of its Menlo Park headquarters into a vaccination site. Many people stayed 6 feet apart Saturday as they lined up to be inoculated against COVID-19.
And we're expecting to do about 1,200 every weekend.
Luisa Buada is the CEO of California's Ravenswood Family Health Network, which teamed up with Facebook for this initiative.
So important that we get rid of the COVID virus so people can go back to more of a normal life.
Local resident Jermaine King jumped at the chance to be vaccinated.
It's a sense of relief. Right now, currently, I've got a very, very close friend who's down in Southern California in ICU with COVID, and he's the same age as me. So to be able to know that I'm protecting myself and protecting others by getting the vaccine, I think it's pretty awesome. It feels good.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said as of Friday morning, more than 178 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines had been administered across the country. Officials are urging Americans to get a shot as soon as possible, in part to prevent new variants of COVID-19 from spreading. The highly contagious variant, first discovered in the UK, has become the most common version of the virus in the U.S. as cases continue to climb. That's according to CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who said this week daily cases of the virus were up 2.3% from the previous 7-day average.
American recession drama Nomadland was the big winner at the British Academy of Film and Television Arts Awards on Sunday, leading a selection of nominees that highlighted diversity at this year's awards ceremony. Nomadland stars leading actor Frances McDormand as a widow who turns her van into a mobile home, taking on seasonal jobs across the U.S. It won 4 prizes, including Best Film, Leading Actress for McDormand, as well as Best Director for Chinese-born Chloe Zhao, becoming the second woman and first woman of color to win the prize.
We would like to dedicate this award to the nomadic community who so generously welcomed us into their lives.
The BAFTA Awards was held virtually over 2 nights, with nominees joining in by video, and paid tribute to Queen Elizabeth's husband, Prince Philip, who died on Friday, aged 99. Renee Zellweger and Anna Kendrick joined from a Los Angeles studio to present some awards. Others, like Hugh Grant and Priyanka Chopra Jonas, appeared in person at London's Royal Albert Hall. Film veteran Anthony Hopkins won leading actor for portraying a man with dementia in The Father.
It was quite easy because I didn't have to act old because I am old.
South Korean actor Yoon Ya-jung won supporting actress for her grandmother role in Minari, and Best Supporting Actor went to Daniel Kaluuya for playing activist Fred Hampton in Judas and the Black Messiah.
I feel like I've still got a bit of rising to do. I feel I've got a lot of work to do, you know what I mean? So I'm still cracking on.
Promising Young Woman, a Me Too revenge movie, picked up 2 awards, Outstanding British Film and Original Screenplay. Half of this year's acting nominees were people of color. following an outcry last year when BAFTA presented an all-white acting contenders list.
China's Alibaba brushed off concerns on Monday after regulators fined it $2.75 billion for abusing market dominance. Its CEO said the e-commerce giant does not expect any material impact from changes to its arrangements with merchants. That soothed investors as a key source of uncertainty for the company was removed. There was also some relief that the fine and steps ordered were not more severe. Shares in Alibaba jumped around 8% in Hong Kong's afternoon trade. The company has come under intense scrutiny since billionaire founder Jack Ma's public criticism of the Chinese regulatory system in October. It says it will introduce measures to lower entry barriers and business costs faced by merchants on its platforms. The fine was one of the highest ever antitrust penalties globally. The State Administration for Market Regulation, or SAMR, ordered Alibaba to make thorough rectifications to protect consumer rights. It said Alibaba, which is also listed in New York, had prevented its merchants from using other online e-commerce platforms since 2015. Alibaba executives said despite Saturday's record fine and measures ordered by regulators, they remain confident in the government's overall support of the company. But the probe comes as China bolsters SAMR with extra staff and a wider jurisdiction amid a crackdown on technology conglomerates.
Greenpeace say they have uncovered widespread use of illegal drift nets in the northwest Indian Ocean. They say it is decimating marine life in one of the world's most ecologically vulnerable fishing grounds. During 2 weeks at sea, the environmental organization says it filmed 7 ships within 20 square miles using drift nets to catch tuna and detected another 8 vessels on radar that also suggested use of nets. The group shared video footage that showed sharks and manta rays that had been killed in nets set some 500 miles east of Somalia. These nets are nicknamed the Wall of Death for the quantity of other sea life they catch in addition to the fish they are set for. They were banned by the United Nations 30 years ago. This is Greenpeace UK Head of Oceans, Will McCallum.
As we arrived, though, what we weren't prepared for was just how many we'd actually be able to see at night. The reason is because they've got these football stadium lights that they shine onto the water that attract the squid. So they're fishing at this unbelievable scale, and it's really surprising how little we know about just how they're doing this fishing.
He added that enforcement of the UN ban is needed in international waters to resolve an enormous governance gap. Nations are due to meet in August for negotiations over a global ocean treaty designed to set up safeguards for parts of the ocean.
So far, these have been the latest news for today. Goodbye. Take care.